Okay, hey everybody, welcome back. This is part 2 of the Korea Q&A. If you're new here, last year in end of July 2021, I picked up my life here in Hawaii and I lived in South Korea, Seoul, South Korea for about 8 months. And I'm finally talking about my experience. So we'll just get right into it. First question is, any scary experiences? I didn't have too many, but I definitely did have some. One time I was out with my friends, we were catching the subway, and this guy starts following us. When we stop, he would stop. When we'd turn around, he make like he wasn't following us. Then when we'd start walking again, he'd start walking again. And he was getting closer and closer. And at this point, I was with my friends who are really tiny. They're really small people. I volunteered to walk in the back of them because I do have a bigger build. Not like that was gonna do anything, but you know, it might help. At one point we decide to run. We run up the escalator, we pay for the subway, we get on the subway when the doors close and it leaves before he gets on. So that was kind of spooky, kind of scary, but this one was kind of scary, kind of funny, I guess. I was in Itaewon one night. My friends are drinking in a bar, and I decided to step outside. I step outside, and then this mad middle-aged guy, he comes up to me, starts talking to me, asking me about my life, asking me what I'm doing here, and then he starts to strike. We have this conversation and whatever, and then he's like asking me on a date to do all these places, and I want to hold your hand, and Bruce starts holding my hand, and I'm like, no, sir, we're just friends, okay? Another scary experience was when I was in Gangneung. We get out of the taxi, we're walking, and I realize I forget my phone in the taxi. I'm like, we call back the taxi guy. He's this old Korean man. And out of my friend group, I can speak the most Korean. And so I'm trying to talk to him, trying to say that I forgot my phone. He's getting so upset that I cannot speak Korean or that I cannot understand with how fast he's speaking. Anyways, he's telling me to walk to this one place to come get my phone. He's going to drive there. And then out of anger, he hangs up the phone. I'm at the place he told me to go, and he hangs up and I don't know what to do. And then I find this group of people who look our age, and I go up to them and I'm like, 혹시 영어 말해도 돼요? 혹시 영어 말해요? Which is like the most simple way of asking, can you speak English? Thank goodness one of them can speak English. They understand what happened. They call back the taxi driver for me. And then they're finally getting through to him. He's coming. He's like, you're gonna have to pay all this money for me to come back and give me your phone. And he's cussing at us at this point. He's cussing at me, at us. I don't know. He's swearing. He's mad. He's driving crazy. He finally comes back, and then he rolls on the window. He's cussing. He's swearing more. He's really angry. He's like, give me the money right now, and I'll give you your phone. And we give him the money, and we're just so thankful to this group of Koreans that helped us out, because at that point, I really felt like I didn't belong there, and I am like, maybe I should just go home, kind of thing. But yeah, that was the first negative experience I had with, and of course it was my fault for leaving my phone, but yeah. What was my favorite park? In Seoul, there are a lot of parks, especially that go along the Han River, which is a big river in the middle of the city. So my favorite park was literally the most generic parks that you can think of. Yeouido Hangang-Gongwon and Banpo Park. There's bike riding, there's this little ship thing where you can go make your own ramyeon. You can get heat packs if it's cold. And then Banpo Park is just so aesthetic. There's these floating islands that you can walk into. And then on top of that, Cheonggyecheon Stream. It's a really long stream that if you walk it long enough, you just walk really far. Most memorable experience. So my whole time in Korea was categorized as my most memorable experience. But little memories that will forever be etched in my heart is Christmas Day. They don't celebrate Christmas like we do here. It's very much a couple holiday. Here it's a family holiday, so everybody celebrates Christmas with their family. I wake up and I'm like, okay, I have enough stuff in my fridge to make a nice Christmas breakfast. So I go upstairs to our shared kitchen and I start cooking my little French toast and eggs and whatever. And then my neighbor, housemate, friend, she comes up, she starts cooking the same thing. And I'm like, Merry Christmas, friend! And I ask her, do you want to watch a movie? And she's like, yeah. Let's watch a movie. Well, we both finished cooking our little French toast breakfast, whatever. And then we start watching a movie. We're kind of freezing up there. We're watching The Holiday, eating French toast and eggs, and it's snowing outside. And I'm like, what? I could keep talking about every single experience I had up there, but that's just one. Next question is best places to go in Korea. Oh my gosh, there's so many. My favorite places to go for shopping is Insadong, Myeongdong Express Bus Terminal, Hyundai Mall, and Namdaemun Market, Namdaemun Shijang. Express Bus Terminal, that place is crazy for shopping. Crazy cheap, crazy variety. Hyundai Mall is, I just like going there because it's so pretty, so aesthetic. It's all the high-end brands, so I never bought a thing when I was there. Maybe a burger and fries, maybe a coffee there, but nothing else. Best places to go for like experiences: Gangnam, Itaewon, Hongdae. That's where all like the cafes, all of the pet cafes, the bars, the clubs. That's where they all are. If you're that type of gal, type of guy. I'm not, so I wasn't there very often. Best place for food. I know it's generic, but Gwangjang Sijang, Gwangjang Market. That stuff is delicious. Also, where I was living, Annam, and I lived on a food street, so there it was just like one straight street with like buildings 3 stories high. Each story had a different food restaurant place. It was great. Had a lot of diversity of food over there. Next question: did you experience racism or discrimination? Luckily, not really. No. There were a few times where natives, like it was like the older generation, they would yell at me for speaking English, and they would say stuff like go back to your country. And next question: so what do I miss the most? So the fact that you could find something, someone, or somewhere new every single day, any given day. Also, what I miss the most is that when you're bored, there are so many options of things to do, places to go, that'll satisfy the boredness. Like here in Hawaii, there's only so many times you can go to a shopping center, only so many times you can go to the mall, only so many times you can go to the beach before you get tired of it. Something else I do miss a lot is the convenience of everything. The public transportation, like it's so convenient over there. You could live your entire life and not need a car. And on top of being convenient, everything's so cheap. Or one time I needed batteries, I go to Daiso, which is like the dollar store over there. Find batteries, guess how much they are? They're 70 cents for like a pack of 10 or 8. And they're the good kind batteries. And something about being in the city makes you feel so small, but makes you realize how big the world really is. Coming from this island in the middle of the ocean, you only get so much of a perspective on how big the world can be. When you go to a place like that, like to Korea, you're like, wow, how did I live my whole life in a little island? Another thing I really do miss is the little food street that I lived on. I miss my friends so much. My little Goshiwon room, even though it was like 2 square feet. This is a sub question. And what is the living like over there? I'd say it's pretty fair, pretty cheap. There are options to live in like your own apartment, your little own studio kind of thing. Those are a little pricey, especially the down payment. If you don't want to do that option, you could live in something called a Goshiwon, which is what I lived in for about 5 months that I was there. It's literally just a really tiny room with everything you need in it. So my bathroom was in there, including my shower and the sink. They were all in one little room. My bed was flush up against the bathroom. I had a little chair, a little desk, and it was the kind of room where you're standing, you're turning around every direction, and everything is right in front of you. That was my whole room. Me, I didn't need to live in like a big grand apartment or a dorm kind of thing. I just needed someplace to call my own, someplace to come home every night, and that was enough for me. And yeah, did I mention it was my first time having my own room? I loved so much. Yeah, I spent my whole life sharing rooms with my siblings. When the semester ended, my friend who lived in an apartment, she went back to her home country for about 2 or 3 months. So she's like, can you stay in my apartment to keep my contract active? So I was able to stay in her place while she was gone. It was a much bigger space and I loved it. And I had my own. Oh, it was great. Next question. Do you wish you could have stayed there longer? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I left really fast and I wasn't supposed to leave. It was a problem with my visa. The visa I got was a student visa. It kept me there about 6 months with 2 months grace period. So about 8 months I stayed there, right? And my visa had an expiration date. So like by this expiration date, you have to be out of the country or you have to have a renewed visa. The problem was I couldn't renew my visa without having a valid reason to stay in the country. And the only valid reason that would work is if I was staying another semester. And if I were to stay another semester, I had to pay another semester of tuition, which I did not have. I was working my hardest to get the job finding visa. And then last minute, maybe about a week or week and a half before my expiration date comes, I find out that the job searching visa, you have to have a college degree. And I'm like, no way! So I was really upset about that. I find out I can't get this job searching visa. I can't get a teaching visa because I need a degree for that as well. What do I do now? And everything inside me is like, I can't go home. I can't go home. I don't want to go home. Keep in mind, I had like $100 left in my bank account. Even though I did get a small job over there, it like the pay wasn't cutting it. So yeah, I was running out of money at this point. I'm telling my parents all this stuff like, nope, I'm not coming home. I'm actually gonna stay here for a lot longer. And then like 3 days after I tell my parents that, I'm like, okay, I have to come home. And that was so disappointing for me to say because I did not want to go home at all. Like, how could I go back home when I've lived a life like this? I've met all these beautiful people. Like, what would happen if you stayed past your date? I would get deported. Getting deported does not look good on your record, so I didn't want to do that. I was debating it. I get my flight plans, and my auntie who's helping me with everything, she's like, okay, you fly out on this day. She tells me that like 5 days before I have to leave. So I start doing all this stuff. I get my nails done for the first time with one of my really good friends. Some other piercings. I do last minute shopping, and I'm starting to reminisce. I'm starting to get really sad about leaving. And part of me is like trying to believe that like things happening for a reason. You're going back home for a reason. Everything. Like, no, I don't want it to be like this. But it gets to the night before I have to leave. And I stay with my friend who lives in Incheon, which is where the airport is, which is outside of Seoul. Labored journey getting to Incheon. And then my friend, he has a car up there. So he took us to all these beautiful places. We watched fireworks. We got to shoot fireworks. We were looking at stars. We were watching planes fly over us. It was honestly one of the best nights of my life and one of the best ways to spend my last night in Korea. Everything happened so fast. And then I got home and I'm just like, I'm trying to convince myself that my whole time in Korea was real. Because it didn't feel like it, but it definitely was. Yes, I do wish I could have stayed longer, maybe a few years longer, but who knows where the future is gonna take me. Maybe I'll be back there very soon. I don't know. Next question. Where to next? I do have a lot of friends in Europe, especially now, like being in Korea. That's another thing. I met so many people from around the world. The world is so big. I feel like if people just stay where they are, stay where they're comfortable, it's not the best thing. I answered all of the questions that were on the Q&A. I hope you got your answer. I hope you got a little taste of what I experienced up there. If not, then I'm sorry. There's just so much that happened and it could take a really long time to get everything out. But there's part of me that wants to keep some things just as a memory because it's so special to me. Thanks for listening if you stayed this far, and definitely looking forward to more travels to Korea, to other places. Definitely looking forward to more traveling vlogs this upcoming year. It's gonna be great. I'm very hopeful for this year, very hopeful for the travels coming up, and yeah. So on next question, the biggest learning experience. Me being up there was definitely out of my comfort zone. I decided to go because I was sick of Hawaii. I just wanted to get out, be on my own for a bit. And all this time, I have my auntie with me, and she's been to Korea a few times, so she took me up. She's teaching me how to use the subway, use the apps, use money, and use these cards, whatever. Yeah, everything was great with her. There's a lot of life-changing stuff that happened with her. Then she leaves, go back to Hawaii, and I am all on my own. Anyways, because of her, whole mindset shift. And I don't get into details, but like, the most life-changing experience about being in Korea was, number one, my ability to learn how to be my own friend, learn how to be my best friend, learn how to be strictly by myself and not need people all the time to keep me company. Second biggest lesson is how to be out of your comfort zone. I would get like social anxiety just even walking outside. It was all a process. It's all a learning process. So I had to get over it and just live my life because who else is going to do it for me, right? Yeah, on top of that, I don't know if I told you, but I did audition for Korean entertainment companies up there. I won't disclose which ones, but I auditioned 7 times. And what's even more memorable about that is that every audition I had to film in a karaoke room, because my little Goshiwon tiny room, the walls were so thin you could hear literally everything. And I didn't want to be kicked out, so I had to. And you know what? It was a fun experience. Even though I was really hoping that just one would call me back. And I only decided to do that because I just had this itch in me that's like what if? Like, you could be saying, what if I don't make it? What if they don't like me? What if they don't pick me? But then there was another side of my head that was like, what if they do? So I'm like, what if I try? You never know, right? Right? So that was a whole other thing about getting outside of your comfort zone. Yeah, I definitely came back from Korea a different person. And I wouldn't trade that experience for the world. I really wouldn't. I'm definitely hopeful that I'll get back there in the near future. But yeah.